Hey guys, it's Nikki. Welcome to Scratching the Dirt. I was going to film this introduction before I started sweating, but of course I started doing chicken chores and forgot all about filming the introduction. So I'm out here by the coop. I'm about to change out their water. I just gave them treats and a little bit of oyster shell. And so now I'm going to change out their water and move on with my chores, my harvesting and stuff. But I just wanted to real quick introduce this video. This one is all about some updates. We've been doing some things in the garden with the compost and other things. So I did a little garden tour and I showed some updates on what's been going on. And that's basically the bulk of this video. So that'll be what you see this week. And then today's Friday. So this weekend, depending on whether we get rain or not, we might, but I'll, film what I do and we will go from there and we'll look at that stuff the next time. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, all of those things. I love having little chats with folks who leave comments. So that's my favorite part. Anyway, here we go. Let's get into some updates. You can see what everything looks like mid-July, almost August, I guess. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Let's do some updates. So this is where the old compost used to be. Jose got that moved completely out. He got, we have the old chicken wire that was wrapped around it and stuff over there in one of the boneyards. He got rid of the pallets because they had started to fall apart because of all the moisture. This is a pile of dirt that we've been working with. We've already dug into it, but this is some stuff that my dad got for free. So super excited about it. I get a text message from him one day asking, do you want like 40 bags of potting soil? I was like, yes, I do. So we got that, which has been awesome because we've been able to build up some of the beds where we've moved some vegetables in and out. Over here, we have the compost still working. This is remember, this is the 2026 compost, both sides. So we are adding to this side and then pulling to cover it from this side right here. And then Jose did get this extra, when he took apart the compost, he made this extra little 4x4 out of some of the pallets, and he put the kind of sifting station back here in the back so I can still sift compost. And actually it has no back on it, which is great. So the wheelbarrow will actually go deeper in. So it's going to, I think, work better. All of the chicken manure that I had been keeping in this yellow bucket is now in here. And then I put some plants and stuff in there. And we're just trying to get that going. This will be 2027 compost. Over here, I don't know how much I've shown this one. This is another one of our boneyards where we just have like pieces of a trampoline and old garden beds and pots and trellises and all kinds of stuff. We've been slowly pulling from this and using stakes and different things to trellis things up. So this is actually smaller than it was. And then yesterday, which by the time this posts, it will probably be last week that you see the video, I shot film of me kind of refreshing the chicken coop. So all of this pelletized bedding was added in yesterday. I wetted it down a little bit. So they have moved it around quite a bit already. We also got the new waterer that Jose did. We had those pieces for like a year, and he finally went, yeah, let's just put that together. So he did. There's the girls just hanging out. Over here, we have this bed that a while back I cleared out, and I had thrown some seeds in here, and it doesn't look like it worked. It doesn't look like any of them really are taking. So we still have the original carrots. I'm just letting them go. We're getting weed seed. That's a pecan tree. We get a lot of those because of the squirrels and all the pecan trees we have. This over here is doing great. These herbs, these are here year over year, and So we have this bed, and then over here, this jalapeno plant is doing really well over here in this mostly shaded area. So I've pulled a few peppers off of it already. There's 1, 2, 3 on it right now. So I don't know. I've had trouble with my peppers in other locations. And now I put one over here. Honestly, when I put it over here, I thought it was an eggplant because it was a seedling that I had seeded, and I guess I mislabeled it, but it's doing great. And then this little corner of this one is where I typically have to replant things every year. I haven't found anything that'll stick. I'm hoping this little rosemary will. This is another one that I grew from seed. And then I threw in a coleus a couple of weeks ago when we got those. We got these coleus for $1 a piece at the local nursery. So there's the updates over here. I'm thinking maybe it would be best to just kind of do a full garden tour instead of just trying to find specific updates. Things change so rapidly. So this is the bed that originally had green beans, peas, some pinto beans, and those massive radishes early on in the season. The okra's coming up and producing and doing great. We found some little bitty bugs on it a week ago. So Jose put some organic pest stuff on there. So if you see white powder, that's what that is. But you can see we've got tons of blooms. Okras in there. This is where I put those 4 peppers, jalapenos yesterday. I added the chili piquins. All of this, except for those carrots down there and the okra, has been added since the beginning of the year. So there's purslane, there's carrots down there, there's chili piquins, there's a tomato at the end. And these are all either purple hull or cowpeas. I really need to look it up and see what I planted. So I'm going to make sure to train these early to come up so that these jalapenos have space. And then over here we have a cucumber bed, which looks a little wilty right now. I'm going to get water on it. You can see that some new tubing has been put. Same thing with that bed. Jose was out here working on irrigation yesterday. So this is a massive green. I need to harvest from this. These are pumpkins. So as they get a little bit bigger, I'm going to take the vine, I'm going to garden staple it down and lead them out here, and then they can just grow out here. These are the new cucumbers that I had added a while back. They're coming up, with the exception of a few spots here and here. This section was one type. It was the Poinsett 76 seeds that I had planted, and they did not have a great germination rate, which is why I planted so many, because I knew that might happen because they were old seeds. Over here, the pepper / everything bed is doing great. I pulled an eggplant off of this one yesterday. I was super excited. It's one of those nice, like lighter purple, kind of pinkish eggplants. I can't remember the variety. We have more jalapenos. We've been pulling jalapenos off these plants. The what's it called, Nikki? The long skinny cayenne peppers, or we pulled one the other day. They're not producing as much as I had hoped, but we're still working on this bed and this bed. They just aren't doing what we had hoped. The dill looks beautiful. It's in bloom. So I'm still excited about getting dill. This volunteer tomatillo, I haven't decided its fate yet. It may completely come out. I chopped it off here and here yesterday because I was trying to get to here, and it was flopping over and in my way, and I got frustrated. So it was a volunteer anyways. We have tons of tomatillos. Jose added this irrigation that you see running right now. That's another jalapeno and 2 more jalapenos there that are new. And then as you go down, it's like the tomatillo craziness right here. These are all tomatillo plants that I put in the ground in the spring, and they're doing amazing. They're massive, taking over my walkways, which is fine. And then here's the tomato bed, the one where we saved these San Marzanos, but we had replaced all of these other tomatoes. Let me walk around and show y'all that This kind of quadrant right here we left alone. There were San Marzanos here. They don't look great, but they are producing tomatoes. So we left them. This one right here is a new tomato plant. It is doing better than any of the others. You can see them right next to each other. Both of these went in on the same day and came out of the same like cells, same 6 cell or 4 cell, whatever it was. But that's a new tomato plant. This one I'm a little worried about. It's looking kind of yellow and yucky. This is one that we had saved because it had all these flowers on it. We do have one little tomato there. I'm still watching it to see what it's going to do. That's the basil that I cut back so much a couple of weeks ago. And it's just come back beautifully. We're still pulling from it all the time. The other dill. And then there's, I guess, 3 new tomatoes in this bed. Or in this quadrant. There's 2 here. And then we have the sun sugar tomatoes, which are my favorite cherry tomato. They're orange. They're kind of tart, kind of sweet. They're delicious. And they're flowering, but they aren't making tomatoes. So if you look, I don't know how well this is going to film, but this part of the plant looks really, really healthy. This part, not so much. This is part that isn't looking as great. I'm thinking about still, and I may by the end of the day kind of take it back and just save the healthy parts because the same thing is happening on the other one. These are the out of control berries. I've trimmed them back a few times. They're volunteers. So we're going to leave those and decide what to do about that. The lime, all of these things, we have these just random. This is the basil I had pulled out of that bed when I put the tomatoes in, and I just stuck it in a pot and it's coming back. Some new coleus. And then we come over here and look at the other side. So there's all of our tomatillos. And then we just have all these tomato plants here and some greens. This yellow pear tomato has been giving me more tomatoes than anything else. So I've never grown this before. This was one of those where the seeds had been given to me. And so I tried it and I'm getting these little yellow pear tomatoes like every day. And they're delicious. They're really yummy. I had some in my salad last night. So we just have some more tomatoes here and then back into the tomatillos. The flower bed needs water. I have water running in one spot right now. Everything's going to get watered today. The lantana has some sort of something on it. This happened to this same plant last year. I don't know what happened. We cut it back in the winter and then it came back. It was beautiful earlier this year. So I'm not really sure about that. I need to look into that. This one is one we added this year. This has the darker orange and kind of reddish tones, flowers. This is a volunteer ground cherry. So that's going to come out. I cut a couple more volunteers out of here yesterday. Here's one. I didn't pull it all the way out. I just chopped it. But I originally was going to let them go. But then when I started having trouble with the lantanas and it was just drying out so fast, I decided to go ahead and just pull them. And then there would be less stress on the lantana and not something taking their nutrients and water. This is the little section of things I had moved from here and the other side of the trough. I did this yesterday, moved these things over here because we got some lemongrass and planted it in the ground. So that's new. We have eggplants coming. So these are like this standard, what you think of, the black, I think they're called Black Beauty. These are coming. There's one down here. There's another one somewhere. It's probably on camera and I can't, oh, there's one. It's down there. And then I had pulled one of those other like pinkish ones off of this plant yesterday. So I've never grown eggplant today or before. So I'm excited. We're getting eggplants. They were super slow to take off. when I put them in the ground, they stayed, 4 inches tall for a long time. And then I guess they needed the heat. Like I said, I've never grown them before. And once it really heated up, they started taking off. So I'm excited about that. We have some volunteer tomatoes in here. I'm going to see if I can finish this tour. I'm not even sure where the last one cut off at because my phone overheated. So I had to take it inside. I've done a couple of things, but let me finish the tour. We were talking about the tomatillos and the San Marzanos. I've got my bucket and my stool here because that's my next project. I'm going to start clearing out some of this extra foliage in the San Marzanos. So these are the tomatoes that have done the best this year. You can see there's tomatoes all over here. We pull them pretty frequently. There's more over here. These are the ones that we were pulling early. Just the first tiny hint of yellow because they were getting eaten green. Jose treated the outside of the fence and we haven't seen any more bites taken out of any since then, but we've also been trying to be proactive. This is the flowers here in the middle. Jose and I just propped up this marigold. This one here, it was leaning. We can get over here. It was leaning, so this marigold was leaning down here. It was covering up the coleus and the plumbago and part of the yarrow that were in here. So this flower bed is super dry. I gotta get water on it. So I have, I don't know if you can see the sprinklers running in there. So we don't have enough water pressure to run like multiple things at once. Jose's still working. I think he's going to come out here in a little bit and work on the irrigation system and insert some shutoffs so that we can do smaller areas and get better pressure. But that was the end of these 2 rows. And then so we just have what's left over here. So this is that lettuce or chard that's in here. My big huge salvia. My lemon balm, I may have lost it in there. So that's another thing I'm gonna move. I'm gonna pull this out of here and I'm probably gonna add it to that row of stuff I did yesterday over there by the tomatoes and the moringa trees. More salvia, a sage, my hosta and chives, another coleus. We've got a big basil with a marigold behind it. The zinnias, the zinnia patch, just probably my favorite thing of all. I put this little fence in here yesterday because they were covering up. Again, this plumbago was getting covered up. When I planted this, you can see there's like this little, I had put alyssum in this little container thing. So that's bottomless. Like the bottom had rusted out. And I was like, oh, it'll be so cute if I just put some alyssum spilling out. Well, the alyssum seeds didn't take, and then the zinnias took over anyway. So it's fine. I'm good. Just some more. These are the vincas that seeded themselves from last year. Oregano. Just random things over here. This peppermint didn't used to be there. This is that area that I cleaned up. I cleaned this up yesterday. I actually filmed it, but I ended up not using that footage. I might stick it in this video. It was one of my distractions. I had some stuff sitting out here. I had this oregano, that peppermint. They were all sitting over here in this corner. And I put them closer to the house. I've got all these things. And then this pot that was close to the house, but that's where I put that little pentas. So, and then I have all my volunteer vincas here, even more over here. I noticed yesterday that even more tiny ones are coming further out. So I don't know. They really seeded themselves last year. So that's it. That is the tour. That is all the updates. Let me show you real quick because since my phone overheated, I took it inside to cool off. Then I came over here back to these sun sugars. And what I discovered was down here where it was looking kind of yellow and bad. That's what I was talking about. I was just going to cut that off. But then if I traced it up, this is where all the healthy stuff is and good looking flowers. So what I did was cut off some, but then I just kind of trailed this up over here. Jose went and got these 2 poles. We trailed this one up. We attached it to get it up so I could see it better. I cleaned it up a little, but I think I'm going to let it go now. Since the new growth looks healthy, I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to let it go. And then I think that's, oh, we staked in the other marigold that's over in the cucumber bed. We did that too while I was waiting for my phone to cool off. So there we go. There's the tour. Some major overgrown spots, some spots that have been reworked since the beginning of the season. And we're just, we harvest daily and we keep going. We'll see what the next project is going to be. Here's the San Marzanos after I'm done pruning. So sometimes I can be pretty ruthless with the pruning. This time I've got the sun beating down on me right now, so I was trying to be kind of quick, but you can see, you can look in here, I've created more airflow, more access, a little more room. I've got some pockets here that were really overgrown, so now there's some room in there for things to move around. And then I've got these places where these were growing up and now they're coming down. So it's kind of hard because we don't have a proper trellising system. It's kind of hard to clear the bottom of the plant like you see a lot of people do, because we have things growing up and then coming back down. So if anything, this year we have convinced ourselves that next year we need proper trellising for any indeterminate tomatoes. So it's going to be these, and then also the sun sugars and any other cherry tomatoes I want to grow. I'm also going to work some probably Romas, some determinate tomatoes into my world, just so that I can have some tomatoes where I don't have to be pruning them out, clearing them out every couple weeks. Because I just did this not that long ago, and here I am doing it again, and it'll be 2 weeks and I'll need to do it again, which is fine. But if we had a proper trellising system, it would just make the whole job much easier. But there they are now, all cleared out, well, mostly cleared out, and ready to produce more fruit.